Hello guys, welcome to another video of Yahya reading. Today we'll be reading Finding Nemo. Let's start. Marlin was a clownfish, but that didn't mean he had to find life funny. All he did worry about his little son Nemo, who had one weak fin. Marlin had lost the rest of his family to a big bad barracuda when Nemo was just an egg. He was determined that no harm would ever befall his only son. Nemo was a fish full of fun who was looking forward to start school and making friends, but Merlin didn't even like him going outside their home. What is the one thing we have to remember about the ocean? He asked little Nemo sternly. It's not safe. Nemo sighed. On the first day of school, our kids went on an outing to the edge of the reef. Nemo had made some new friends, and together they sneaked off, daring each other to swim out the open sea. Nemo was nervous and didn't venture very far, but it was way too far for Marlin, who was hovering nearby. You think you can just do these things, but you can't just, Nemo, he yelled, rushing over. Definitely, Nemo decided to prove him wrong. While his dad was distracted, the little fish swam out towards a boat anchored overhead. Brave Nemo had made it all the way to the boat when disaster struck. A diver grabbed him. "Daddy, help me!" yelled Nemo as he was scooped up in a net. "Coming, Nemo!" cried a distraught Marlin. There was nothing he wouldn't do to save his precious son. But another diver saw him and took a photo. Blinded by the flash for precious seconds, Marlin can't catch up with the disappearing divers. The boat took off so fast that the diver's mask fell overboard. A beautiful original tank fish called Dory offered to help Marlin and Nemo, but unfortunately she had a short-term memory problem. "I forget things almost instantly," and she explained, and promptly forgot who was Marlin. Can I help you?" she asked. Marlin sighed. He turned to head off and came face to face with the shark. The shark was called Bruce. He was trying to turn vegan. The big bruiser wanted the fish to meet his like-minded buddies, so they can prove their motto, "Fish are friends, not food." Dory, as an anxious as she was forgetful, thought the whole thing was a great idea. Marlin, who was totally terrified, did not. The self-help sharks held their meetings in a wrecked submarine. The meeting began. "It has been 3 weeks since my last fish," Bruce told his friends proudly. Always eager, Dory joined him. "I don't think I've ever eaten a fish," she said. The Marlins put on a diver mask. It was the same mask worn by the diver who has taken Nemo. Dory wanted to show it to the sharks, but Marlin didn't. As two scuffled over the mask, Dory bumped her nose, it bled a little, and Bruce got a craving for a fish dinner. "Just a bite," begged Bruce. His friends tried to stop eating up Marlin and Dory because Bruce was terminated. a scary fish unused before the plucky fish were able to get away with the mask in tow. But disaster struck when Dory accidentally dropped the mask into a deep ocean trench. When they swam out down over after it, the two friends discovered a scary anglerfish just waiting to pounce. Its glowing antenna was the only light for down in the ocean. While Marlin fought the fish, the light revealed an address on the diver's mask. Luckily, Dory remembered she could understand human. 42 Waverley Way, Sydney, Australia, she read. Using the mask to trap the angelfish against the rock, Marlin and Dory set off for Sydney, New Hope of finding Nemo. Meanwhile, Nemo found himself in the latest catch in the dentist's fish tank in the Sydney, where he met Bubbles, Peach, Jacques, Boots, Bib, Girl, and the tough guy, leader, Gal. Poor Nemo soon discovered how small the tank was. He could hardly swim in distance without hitting the sides. Even worse to come, Nemo heard he was to be given the dentist's nurse and a ghastly girl named Darla. The tank fish were shocked. "She's a fish killer," whispered Peach. Later that night, the friends in the tank asked if Nemo could join their tank. If Bloat whispered, "You are able to swim through that ring of the fire." It sounded scary, but it was just a circle of bubbles. Nemo bravely made it through, and the gang huts. "We are gonna help him escape," Gil told his fishy friends. Back in the ocean, Marlin and Dory were in trouble too. They had swarmed into a jellyfish forest and got stuck. Luckily, they escaped. Some sea turtles gave them a ride. One of the little turtles did lots of darling tricks, but his father Crush didn't mind. He trusted his children to know her limits. "How do you know they are ready?" asked Marlin. "When they know, you'll know," Crush replied. As Marlin got closer to Sydney, tales of his adventures was spreading far and wide. Nigel, friendly policeman who knew the thing, Jim, eventually heard the stories and rushed to tell Nemo the incredible news. "Your dad's been fighting in the entire ocean looking for you," they squawked in excitement. Nemo was amazed. He loved his dad, but had always thought him bit of a bit scary fish. The idea he was battling his way to Sydney filled the little fish with pride and new hope, returning the little ocean home. The Tang gang had tried and failed to escape before, but this time Nemo was determined. Bravely, he managed to jam the tank cleaning filter with a bibble. The water inside the tank became green and filthy. Surely the would mean that the dentist would have to take out the fish to clean the tank. In turn, this would mean he would have to put them in little plastic bags. Then maybe, somehow, they might just be able to make their escape. Back into the ocean, Marlin and Dory said goodbye to the turtles, but were soon in the trouble again with a whale. The gigantic creature scooped them into the massive mouth. I have to get out. I have to let my son. Marlin wailed. I promised. I'd never let anything happen to him. You can't never let anything happen to him, Dory argued. Then nothing would ever happen to him. That's not much fun. Luckily, the whale was only giving the two brave fish a lift. Soon they were squirted out of the blowhole right in Sydney Harbour. The two friends cheered for the boat that had taken Nemo, almost being eaten by the Gerbil, the pissman. Luckily, Nigel found them just as Gerland and spat them into the dock. Hop inside my mouth if you want to live, he whispered to Marlin and Dory. The weary fish realized that they could either become a lunch for Sigil or trust the big pissman. Scooping them up, Nigel flew over towards the dentist's surgery. Inside, Tank Jan had trouble. The dentist had cleaned their water with a fancy new filter while they were still in a tank. The escape plan was ruined. What do we do when the little brat gets here? Worried Bloat. I'm thinking, said Gil, a little put out that his brilliant plan hadn't worked, but it was too late. Despite their efforts to save him, Nemo was lifted out of the tank and plugged into a bag. Darla has arrived. Suddenly, Nigel screamed through the window, and Marlin and Dory. The dentist quickly shooed them away, but dropped Nemo as he did so. The bag burst open. I get a fishy, squealed Darla as she reached out to grab him. But true friends are there for you with whatever the risks. Using all his strength, Gil leaped from the tank and distracted Darla, making her scream. Tell your dad I said hi, Gil yelled as he managed to catapult the startled Nemo down the sink. Back in the tank, he reassured his friends, don't worry, all drains lead to the ocean. Nigel flew back to the harbor, dropped that desolate Marlin and Dory back in the water. Marlin thought he lost Nemo for good, swam off to be alone. But then Nemo found Dory. She couldn't believe her eyes when she realized who the little orange clownfish was. Together, they swam after Marlin as fast as Nemo's little fin would help him. There was a joyful reunion, and Marlin realized how strong his son was and how overprotective he had been. Now he and Nemo both knew that life was an adventure to be lived to the full together and with the help of good friends. Meanwhile, the Tang gang were having an adventure of their own. They do finally made their escape, and now they just had to get out of the bags. And thank you for watching Yahya reading. And don't forget to like and subscribe. Goodbye.